Pop's car dealers had made record profits last year. Now, a new sentiment analysis from our friends over at Cox Automotive shows that they are getting scared. Very, very scared.
Yeah, dealers have finally decided to read the handwriting that's been on the wall. I don't know, for the last 6 or 7 months, and with rising interest rates, a slowing economy, and softening demand for the products that they sell, they finally realized that, well, maybe the future isn't quite as bright as it had been, and so many dealers are very, very concerned about what they expect to have happen in the first quarter of next year. And if it were me, I would be concerned with what's going to happen in the second, third, and fourth quarters of next year as well.
Let's ground ourselves in a great quote from Warren Buffett. When others are fearful, be greedy. When others are greedy, be fearful. These dealers, Dad, a lot of them, were very greedy.
Yes.
And there were probably some pragmatic car dealers out there being a bit fearful during that time. Now they are getting fearful, and this is actually an opportunity for those that have capital, car dealers that have capital, to go be greedy. Results from the fourth quarter Cox Automotive Dealer Sentiment Index show franchise dealers polled have record low expectation for their area's vehicle market in the next 3 months. The score of 48 is down 21 points from a year ago and 11 points from the third quarter 2022 results. It is the first score below 50 since Cox began the survey in 2017. Independent dealerships, Dad, their expectations for the future reached a new low with a score of 39, so significantly lower than franchise new car dealerships. That actually makes a lot of sense. I've seen some tweets online. I've talked to some folks. Lenders are getting nervous. Curtailment payments on inventory. I mean, there's pressure on these dealerships, and cash is going to be king.
Cash is always king, and a lot of these dealerships don't have a lot of working cash. And when things are slow, the way that you get cash is you sell your inventory as quickly as you possibly can, and understanding that you need that cash flow, you might even be willing to sell it for less than you had hoped so that you could sell it more quickly because you need that cash flow. That bodes well for consumers. So the days of huge market adjustments and price adjustments and things of that nature could be, and probably will be, going by the wayside because dealers will have an urgent need to keep the cash flow going. Only way you do it is to keep selling the stuff you have.
If you think back to when you were in the industry, Dad, 5 years ago, I mean, you were in more recently, but I'm thinking back 5 years ago, well pre-pandemic. The way the industry worked was the OEMs, the automakers, and the dealers didn't necessarily have a great relationship because the OEM would just sell you as many cars as possible, and then it was your responsibility to figure out how to sell them.
Yes.
One of the things that I love looking at is fleet sales, monthly fleet sales data. Fleet sales went up another 55% year over year in the month of November. Fleet sales are up like crazy, in particular for Ford and GM. I think, Dad, we are right on the cusp, and these dealers are starting to signal and indicate, oh crap, we have rising interest rates, slowing demand, more inventory. The OEMs are about to be looking at them and say, shoving inventory down their throat, and they have to pay floor plan costs for that.
Yes.
I feel like we're very quickly reverting to the mean. I wouldn't be surprised if when we start to look at the percent of incentives as a percentage of average transaction price, that's dropped to the lowest levels it's been
and it's going to go up.
It was down to like 2%.
Yes.
Of incentives as a percentage of average transaction price. That'll revert back to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% because these dealers are just about to have a bunch of inventory, and 58% of these dealers are concerned about interest rates. Yeah, because it's hampering consumer demand and it's increasing their costs.
It isn't like this just started happening. I mean, these dealers just didn't bother to read the tea leaves when it was plain to see. They put on their blinders and they carried on just like they had been, and now they're getting shocked when all of a sudden people who ordered cars say, you know what, I just can't complete this transaction. I'm not in the financial position to be able to move forward with purchasing the vehicle.
Yep.
So you have more and more people stepping away from the market.
Yep.
You have people who had placed reservations and holds on incoming cars realizing that they can't complete the transaction. That just means dealership inventories are going to continue to go up. One of the things we saw when we were looking at inventory levels yesterday was with Toyota, whose inventory levels for the beginning of December are actually slightly lower than what they were for November.
Yeah.
But their day supply of cars, even though there's fewer cars, the day supply of cars has gone up because demand has gone down, because sales have slowed. So you start looking at that and you can extrapolate that the future isn't all that bright for the auto industry moving forward.
And again, revert to the mean, I think, is that and the Warren Buffett quote from earlier. Those are the two things to keep in mind, because as consumers, we went through a period of time where truly millions of people bought cars over MSRP, new cars
Yes.
over MSRP, and used cars at highly inflated prices. And oh man, we got to talk about it at some future video. All the people that are going to be so underwater in negative
Absolutely.
equity positions as the market reverts back to its mean. This does create an interesting time for those that are car buyers. Prices are going to be negotiable. Inventory levels are building back up. Dealers are getting scared, which, to be very clear, dealers employ tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people nationwide. It's not like we want to see businesses go down. Not in the slightest. I think it's a lot of foolish decisions when the market was at its peak, i.e., look at our most recent video about Carvana. That's like
Yes.
that's like the biggest scale example of this. They're just in poor financial positions now, some dealerships, and you can, as a consumer, take advantage of that.
When times are good, dealers don't watch all the things they need to watch. They just don't,
Yeah.
because, well, times are good. And then when times start to become harder, then the dealers realize all the decisions they needed to have made 6, 8, 10, 12 months ago that they now have to make. And in many cases, it could be too late. So there's one thing dealers know how to do when trouble arrives. That's discount cars. That's what they know to do. That's all they understand. I used to have an area vice president that I worked for, and his theory was, if your customer hasn't said yes yet, you haven't lowered the price enough yet. So
Car business 101.
so that's what you're going to see happen. These dealers that are concerned, they're going to start taking shorter deals than they've taken in the past. And they're going to be forced to, because they need the cash flow. It's just that simple.
And you're going to go to Deal School 3.0 so that you can get the best deal possible.
Exactly. But only if you absolutely need to buy a car.
Yeah, still don't buy cars. Don't
Yeah.
spend money. Our whole prognosis of every situation is just save your money.
Yes.
Hey, Dave Ramsey. But seriously, if you gotta buy a car, now's not that bad of a time, and it should continue to get better. Pops, thanks for your time as always. We'll keep everyone posted.
Thank you, Handsome. I'm glad we could get this done.